Do I do three, two, one?
Three, two, one. Hello.
Hello, and welcome to A Run with a View,
Hmm.
in which we crack the whip on movies we love and then
Definitely.
douse them in rum.
Hmm. Lots of
I'm
rum in the
Stu.
drinking competition. I know I'm Alan.
Oh no, we're not doing the drinking competition.
You
No,
sure? Oh, come on.
we haven't introduced the film yet. Alan, what is today's film?
It is Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Not
1981.
yet 1981. Not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, it's
Raiders of the
Raiders
Lost
of the Lost
Ark.
Ark. Yeah.
Uh, This is what a bit. This is a big
It's
movie.
a
This is
big
probably.
one.
I
It's a big
anticipate this is
one.
going to be a long
Yeah.
episode. I've got a lot of notes. So has
A
Alan.
lot.
Yes, the first appearance of Indiana Jones,
Hmm.
who went on to appear in four more movies, or if you're a purist, two more movies, plus a
Was a
TV
total of five.
series,
Yeah.
comic books,
Yeah.
lunchboxes, action figures, you name it.
Hmm.
He's that big a deal.
Yeah.
Released, as you said, 1981 by Paramount Pictures, whose mountain logo famously blends into
Hmm.
the opening shot of each.
Yeah.
That's a mountain. It was directed by Steven Spielberg,
Of
who
it.
you've probably heard
Hmm.
of.
Yeah.
But interestingly, we tend to forget that he actually needed a hit at this point in his career. He'd done
Mm.
Jaws had been massive, Close
Yeah.
Encounters had been not far
Hmm.
behind, but then he made this big sort of half forgotten Second World War comedy adventure called
Yeah,
1941,
1941. Yeah,
which
brilliant. I
nobody
I
remembers it.
love
And
1941. So yeah,
really, I
yeah,
thought that,
yeah.
I thought the first 10 minutes were awful. So anyway, Spielberg decided to take a step back.
Hmm.
He regrouped with his old pal George Lucas, who had also
Yeah.
been doing all right. And he'd had this idea of basically doing his own version of a James Bond film. And you've probably
Hmm.
all heard the story about them sitting on a beach in
Beach
Hawaii or
in, oh,
wherever it
yeah,
was,
exactly.
talking about, oh,
Opening
I really
weekend
want
for
to direct a
Star
Bond
Wars,
film.
wasn't
No,
it?
I've got something
Yeah,
better and all that.
yeah.
So Alan, please
Mm.
tell us about your earliest experiences with this film. I believe there is a story about related
Yeah.
to it, connected to it about
So
your glass.
this very glass that I'm drinking from here, um, the first time I watched Indiana Jones was the first time it was released on television, which was Christmas Day of 1984 on ITV. And I remember it very clearly because I was drinking ginger ale out of this very glass. And I was sat on the living room floor watching Indiana Jones, not knowing what we were going to watch because none of us really knew what we were about to see.
Had you
But
heard of it though?
well, it had sort of like public acclaim because it'd
Yeah,
been out for quite a few years, for
but
three
obviously you
years
didn't see
already.
it at the
But
cinema then.
well, no, I would have been six.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time it was released on TV, I was about 10. Perfect age to be watching Indiana Jones for the first time. And I was spellbound, as you can imagine. From that point on is where my love of kind of cinema really, really started, just because I was so completely spellbound.
It's one of those films, isn't it? That for us is kind of a foundational,
Oh, very much so.
yeah, like one of the foundation stones of our love of cinema, basically.
And I think
Like your Star Wars and all that, and
well,
your Flash
yeah.
Gordon, whatever.
But I think age-wise, this is the thing. You take a film like Indiana Jones and you show it to people who, who are in their sort of like 20s and 30s now, and it's going to be samey. It's going to be simple. It's going to be, oh, well, we've seen this sort of stuff before. We've seen this all over the place. It's the same sort of action that's in Avengers. It's in latter Bond movies. So for when Indy came out, this was, I want to say groundbreaking. It wasn't groundbreaking, but there hadn't really been this sort of level of fast-paced action adventure really done before. Whereas now we just take it for granted.
It was. I mean, we'd had the Bond films for a
Oh
while,
yeah,
but
you
I think,
had
well, for
Bond
20 years.
films.
But I
Yeah.
mean, that was probably the closest thing, as I said,
Hmm.
their version of a James Bond film. But I
Well, it
think it
is.
was
This is
probably, but it's
yeah.
probably a step up into, or a step along, or further, faster,
Sort of like TV serials that always left on a cliffhanger. And that's why
or
when
movie
you're watching
serials,
indie, you are
movie
going from
serials.
action to action to action to action. It is just a cliffhanger after cliffhanger
Yeah.
after cliffhanger. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it's amazing.
I think it
Um,
holds up though. I think it's
mm,
still. I don't think anyone. I don't think younger viewers today would watch it, or people viewers today that hadn't seen it would watch it and think, "Oh, it's a bit slow. It's a bit this. It's a bit." I mean, I think
they
it still has that zip to
it
it. It's
it
still.
does. I would say that if you talk to filmmakers or people that work in the industry, they will hold Raiders with such high acclaim,
Hmm.
and hopefully we're going to touch on some of the aspects about it in
Oh,
today's
we'll get
review.
into
So,
why it's as
mm,
well regarded as it is.
yeah.
Definitely. But we got
Hmm.
to. This, because this is gonna be a long one.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, I think
How
the
about
first
you? What was your
I
relation? When did you first see it?
I I can't remember the first time I actually saw it. My
Mm,
earliest memory of the I think I might have seen Temple of Doom first,
yeah,
possibly.
yeah,
And anyway, the first time I remember watching it properly was
mm,
I had it taped off the telly.
yeah,
So I must have watched it before this, really. But
hmm
like I used to have loads of films taped off the telly with the adverts cut out if you pause the recording just right. Because you watch it, you record it and watch it live, pause it when the
yeah,
adverts start. If you're doing it right,
yeah.
that's expert. That's next level. That is.
I got
Um,
brilliant at that because you bet it's better to use pause than it was to use stop when
oh
the
yeah,
adverts. Yeah,
yeah. Because otherwise it stops and then goes back a bit and then you tape over the end of
exactly.
what you've.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you
right.
exactly.
Oh, the
Oh,
oh,
the
the
old
arcane
skill, the
ways
old
of the
skill.
VCR. My earliest memory though of watching
Mm,
it was I had it taped off the telly
hmm
and a, a fr me and my little friends when we were like 12 or 13,
mm.
what we used to do was we had those little portable tape recorders
Yep,
and we like record our conversations or do little skits or tell stupid jokes or whatever. We had
yep.
loads of tapes of this rubbish. And one time, I remember having a tape of me and my friend
Mm,
watching the first 10 minutes of Raiders, the opening sequence in the South American
yeah.
jungle,
hmm
and commenting on it, on the action as it happened. So we did
Mm.
a DVD commentary in like the late 1980s.
Hey.
So let's talk about, should we start with the photography? Well, you sort of have started, you mentioned the
Well,
photography
yeah. I
already,
mean,
how beautiful,
we've got to talk about
but
Douglas Slocum.
yeah, the cinematographer.
And then this comes from the crew. Okay, on the set. This is a wonderful sort of backstory that he didn't even use a light meter during the
Do you
shooting
want to
of Raiders.
explain to non-cinematographers like me what a light meter is or
Okay,
what it's
okay,
used for? I can imagine what it is. It measures
well,
light,
light
but what
meter
is it
measures
used? How
right
is it
and how
used
bright
in?
the light is, and so you can decide how what sort of film you're going to be shooting on,
Right.
and
But
right
he could
how
do it
it
by
kind of
eye.
exposure you're going to need for your camera. He could do it by eye, and he was.
Like understanding music, learning music by ear. That's
And if you get the chance to watch Raiders in black and white,
yeah.
do it.
Because you've done this, haven't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
There's a
it's because I
lovely.
haven't seen this, but
I'm
Steven
gonna kind of get
Soderbergh, didn't
onto
he?
yeah,
He sort of
exactly.
did a
He did
yeah,
an amazing, but yeah, and
and he
this
took
was
the
a
soundtrack off, didn't he, and
he took the
replaced it with
soundtrack
sort of
off. He
new
took
kind of
the
source
music
music or
from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo,
oh, okay,
overplayed it, and so it gets you to focus on the film
the image.
itself and the
Yeah,
blocking shots, the framing, because you've got no dialogue. It's just music
yeah.
and the movie in black and white.
And
And
not the
first off,
music from the film either, a different, yeah, so it's not even
yeah,
that.
different,
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
different film, and like modern day sort of music. But it draws you in to watching what's on screen,
It
and
forces your
it
concentration, doesn't it?
forces your
Yeah.
concentration. The first thing you notice is how amazing this looks in black and white, and it is
Mm.
beautiful to watch it in monochrome. And you can do this at home. I did it myself this week. So you literally
Yeah, it's
just
free,
take
isn't
your
it? Yeah.
color. Yeah, you can just put, if you're going to put the DVD on or watch it on Netflix or whatever streaming platform you're going to get it from. So like just pause it, get your TV settings, drop the color settings on. So it would normally be in advanced settings on your TV. So go to that, just chop the color down to 0, take your sharpness up about 10%. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then watch it in some ways the way it was shot. It was shot by an expert of film noir. So it
Yeah.
is
Every
about
shadow tells
shadow,
a
it's about
story, doesn't it?
framing,
Yeah.
it's about context, it's about structure, texture, even just in black and white. It is absolutely incredible. If you don't believe me, just watch 10 minutes of it in black and white, and
Mm.
you will not watch the rest of it in color. You will just carry on watching it in black and white. But anyway, going back to what Douglas Slocum did was, I mean, he was a master of shooting in anamorphic and also using proper depth of field. So basically, you could have the background in focus and the foreground in focus. Now, to do this, you basically need to shoot on a very small aperture. But if you're shooting on a small aperture, basically the camera where it closes its lens down, so you get a tiny little circle. By getting a tiny little circle, you can keep everything in focus, like my
That's how
camera's
you do
trying to do right now. But what you need to do with that is you need a lot of light. So be able to close the aperture down, you need
and still
lots
see.
and lots of light. And if you know this film, it is mostly set in Egypt, so there's a lot of sunlight. And
Mm.
he actually used a compass to follow where the sun was going around, and they would shoot certain scenes by where the sun was by a certain point of day. And the reason
Right,
they
right.
could do all this is the whole film was brilliantly storyboarded. It was
Yeah.
storyboarded from beginning to end. And the reason for all of this is, as we probably know if we know our movies, that Spielberg overran on pretty much most of his movies that he'd done before. So Jaws was very much overrun by
Oh
about
God, yeah.
100
Jaws is a
days of
whole.
shooting.
There's a
And
movie about it, or a
it
couple of
is
movies probably.
Close Encounters of the Kind. That was
Mm.
overrun by again around about 100 days, massively over budget. So
Cool.
Spielberg was getting into a trap of not being able to make movies because he was notoriously known for going over budget and overshooting. So he
Getting
knew
that
he needed
reputation,
that
wasn't he?
that
Yeah.
next project needed to be on time. So Lucas challenged him. He said, "Right, you've got to shoot the film in 85 days. That's it, 85 days, beginning to end." So they did so much pre-production. They were able to actually work so well together because they'd done so much pre-production work. So when it came to shooting, they had everything planned. They knew what they were going to be doing, costumes, everything that was just ready to go.
But he
Good.
adapted so well to colour though as well, didn't he? I mean,
Well,
he
it
got all those
does. It works
beautifully
brilliant in
burnished
both.
yellows and
It's
browns
beautiful.
and the odd
Yeah.
splash of red, like danger, peril,
Mm,
blood, all that kind of thing.
exactly. But
Marion's
I mean,
trousers and the market scene.
But
It's big.
Spielberg really shines, really, really shines, and we know how good he is when we saw, Close Encounters and Jaws. But this is where I think Spielberg really, really comes to his own. He was really pushed to perform, and basically they just went shot after shot, really shot it very fast. So the film has this wonderful pace to it, and we know how amazing it is with his action sequences and everything else. But um, you know, Spielberg's use of blocking,
Mm.
his use of similar framing, and his use of economy storytelling is just
Yes. So
incredible.
I've got a lot of
He's
examples of that.
exactly, and I think we're going to be talking about that a lot more as we go through
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, yeah.
as we go through the film. But going from, the editing and how a brilliant use of wide angle shots to
Mm.
establish where sort of characters in their environment are, and then quickly then shut into close tight action sequences shots
Mm.
with characters,
Dynamic visual
really
storytelling,
dynamic,
yeah.
very quick fasting shot. And then if you add into that
But
sort of
not rushed.
multi,
It's never rushed, is it?
no,
It's never
it
like
isn't, but
MTV
then
editing. It's never editing for the sake of it.
what
It's
it
editing that tells the story.
Well, exactly. And
It's
then
not
if you
showing
you
off.
add in if you add
Yeah.
in sort of composition shots where multiple characters can interact with the other. So, for instance, you take the scene where the bar fight's going on in Marion's bar, and
Yeah, yeah.
Indy asks whiskey as he's being flattened against the bar, and then the camera just pans back to Marion. She grabs him a bottle of whiskey, passes him back over,
And
and
then back
hits the guy
over
over
and
the head.
it's yeah.
It's just stuff like that. I mean, that whole sequence, you just want the editing of the wide
And you had
shot,
the overhead
narrow,
shot as
wide
well of the
shot, narrow,
fire going along the
overhead,
bar. Yeah.
exactly. And then
But
the framing
everything.
shots for some of these. And there's a wonderful shot where after Indy's left at the beginning and then the Germans turn up and Marion starts getting manhandled. There's a brilliant one where there's a high beam shot, so the
Mm.
camera's
Up in the corner, right in the corner of
up
the
in the
room, isn't it?
corners of the beams of
Yeah.
this old
Looking through
uh,
the beams. Yeah.
looking through the beams. And at the top beam, you've got Marion being pushed down on the bar, and then underneath on the right hand side, you've got one of the Hitler's goons, and then on the other side is what's his toady, the
Tote.
tote,
Gestapo guy. Tote.
um,
Tote.
heating up an iron ready to
Yeah.
burn Marion's face to torture her, and that's just one shot. So, sorry, I'm just rabbiting on because you know how much I love
Well,
about photography. So,
but it's one of those. Again, we talk about we're doing this movie because we love it and we grew up
yeah,
with it. But the thing is, I mean, when we watched it, I mean, as I say, I've made more notes for this film than I have for any other film that we've done
mm,
so far,
yeah,
because there's so much to talk about. There's so
yeah,
much stuff, and it's going to be a bastard to edit at the end. I tell you. To realize just because Spielberg again, like Raiders,
mm,
like so many of his films, Spielberg is someone else we take for granted, isn't he? We
yeah.
sort of think,
Oh,
oh yeah, he's
totally.
Spielberg, he's
Mm,
whatever, he's one of the he's on the Mount Rushmore of Hollywood with
yeah.
Hitchcock and John Ford and Howard Hawks and whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like we're sort of, I think the point of this episode and maybe the point of our whole channel is
Mm,
that we're trying to explain or understand for ourselves and by explaining it to other people, by talking about it, by talking about it with each other and
Yeah.
with our lovely audience. But we're trying to understand for ourselves, I think, why these are so well made, and we're trying to,
Mm.
and it's just exciting to sort of think about it and watch it and go, oh, wow, look, because even watching it the last week again, I've seen the movie I don't know how many
Oh,
times,
I've lost count.
dozens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
times I've seen it. Two more than
Mm.
so many. I don't even notice it.
Mm.
But the thing is, watching it last time, I was trying to pay attention because I when I watch new films, I went to the cinema today to watch a new film, and when I watch new films, I review them and I sort of make notes and think about what it's doing and how it's doing what it's doing and what it's achieving and what not achieving or whatever.
Mm.
When I apply those skills to watching an old familiar film like this,
Mm.
sometimes you get really interesting results. Like, oh, yeah, oh, look at that!
Yeah.
Oh, look, I never noticed that before. There's stuff I
Mm.
never noticed before.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
we do.
take any given sort of like, let's take Marvel movies and the action that's in these superhero movies, a lot of that wouldn't really exist without these sort of films, or without
Without
these
what,
early
yeah,
action movies that we're talking about, that were made in the 80s,
and
and
and it's all
particularly
and it's all an
Spielberg.
evolution, isn't it? And
Yeah.
cascading influence. Like these the current generation were influenced by, yeah, Spielberg and George Lucas and Star
Yeah.
Wars and Indiana Jones and like that. And those guys were influenced by James Bond
Well,
and the
exactly.
it goes back and back and back and it goes back
Yeah.
to well, I mean, it goes back to the old movie serials of the 1930s, which was the whole,
Exactly.
that was George Lucas's idea. It was the Saturday morning movie serials he'd grown up with as a kid.
Yeah. And
And
in
then
the same way
you
that,
got the
yeah.
nostalgia, like we said about Pulp Fiction in the Pulp Fiction episode. You got these
Mm.
layers of generational layers of nostalgia. I think it's fair to say that Raiders is famous for
Very
its
much
music
so.
score
John
by
Williams
John
classic.
Williams, the
Yeah.
great John. I mean John Williams.
Oh,
His music for our generation, I think
it's yeah.
it means to us what the Beatles' music meant to our parents'
Yes.
generation. Do you
Yeah,
know
I
what I mean?
would. Yeah,
It's like
totally.
it's part of us. It's something we grew up with.
I
It takes us
mean,
to our happy place. The main themes are
mm,
big, bold, and brassy, but there are
oh,
plenty
very
of
much so.
subtleties too, aren't
Yeah.
there? Like when
Mm,
Indy's talking about Marion. Like, there's a really good example in the scene. Again, a scene we're going to talk about
mm,
later, I'm sure. Again, but there's the music. Listen to the music over where Indy and Marcus are in Indy's house, and Indy's packing to go because he's got
yes.
the nod
Yeah.
to go and get the Ark.
Brody and yeah.
Yeah, and Marcus is sort of like, they're sort of having a conversation. It sort of goes from like Marcus warning Indy about the dangers
Mm,
of going after the Ark to uh him sort of suddenly talking about Marion because he realizes he's got to go and see Marion,
hmm.
who's a kind of old flame that he's got to go and see to get the headpiece to the staff of Ra, and it's got that kind of romance theme, that lovely kind of lush
Mm,
romance theme, which I'm not going to whistle or sing
no.
because I'll probably get it wrong and we'll get copyright struck because
Mm,
people are going to want to listen to me singing it rather than just go and listen to the actual.
yeah.
But over that lush romantic theme, you've got this sort of high above. You've got this little dissonant note floating
Mm,
above it. It's kind
yep.
of like ooh, kind of ooh. It sort of suggests like the
The
mystery of the
mystery
arc,
of
but
it.
also
Yeah. Hmm.
but the conflict as well between like the dissonance means like the conflict between him going after the arc and him going after or rescuing Marion, because there's a scene later on,
Hmm.
not really, but there's a scene later on where he sort of goes to rescue Marion. She's been captured by the Nazis, and he goes to rescue her, and then he's halfway through untying her, and
Hmm.
he changes his mind and puts
Mind
his
and
knife away and goes
way.
because he realizes that
It's just,
she's
yeah.
gonna if he rescues her
If he
now, he can go
releases
get
her,
the
they'll
Ark.
know that something's wrong and he can't get the
Yeah,
arc.
all
And
that.
yeah, there. So
So you've got this conflict between his pursuit of the Ark and his feelings for Marion. It's really nice.
and I guess what we're trying to say here is this was an amalgamation of so many different amazing people in their individual fields coming
Yeah,
together and making this masterpiece of the movie, because it's just a layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of expertise of different people in their crafts coming together to make a film. So much of John Williams' music, anyway, all you've got to hear is literally one or two bars, and that's it. You know where
yeah.
you
It's just
are, and you are
the
taken
main
back to a
phrase. Yeah,
particular
you got it.
part in your life or particular memories. You just need to listen to a couple of bars of Superman or Star Wars or
Yeah,
Indiana
the
Jones,
opening,
and it
even
is
the opening
just
chord is
just
enough
the
usually.
chord is enough just to go for you.
That opening chord of Star Wars, that
Yeah,
you know, bah, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's just
that's
a
it.
chord.
You know,
You can't do me for that. I didn't do a
no.
melody. I just did one. It wasn't even no, it wasn't even a chord. I've only got one. I can only do one note at a time. Let's face it. I mean, Raiders and Star Wars as well, really, and
Mm,
Superman. It's all kind of pulpy, kind of origin stuff. But his
totally.
music gives it this sense of the epic, doesn't he?
Mm.
Doesn't
Oh,
it? It's like he's scoring a Flash Gordon serial as if it's Ben-Hur or
yes,
something like
that's
that, you
it.
know. So in terms of the actual story or the plot, I
Mm,
mean, Raiders
yeah.
is basically, as we've said, it's an old movie serial but dialed
Mm,
up to 11.
that's it.
And
Yeah.
not just in terms of spectacle, but in terms of writing, acting,
Hmm.
direction, just the quality of the filmmaking, which I think we've
Yeah.
we've made that point quite well, but we're gonna carry on making it because I think it's worth making.
Mm,
And actually, it's part of a trend because you know, before Raiders came out, you'd had The Godfather, which legitimized
hmm.
gangster flicks. You had
Yeah.
Jaws, which was a monster movie done really well.
Hmm.
Star Wars was a space opera done really well. Superman was a comic book movie done
You've
really
done
well.
really well.
And it was the
Yeah.
first, they all kind of made it, they kind of made disregarded sort of unrespected genres respectable again or respectable
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
all. I mean, there's not much in the way of character arcs and sort of what you could consider the traditional meat of a story, but it's
Mm.
more about the plot just moving us from set piece to set piece
Peace.
as
Yeah.
efficiently and entertainingly as possible.
Yeah.
Like a bit like what Martin Scorsese said about
Sorry.
Marvel films, being like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
But, it's such a great ride that it makes a virtue of its own meaninglessness.
They sort of lock themselves in a couple of rooms for about 3 weeks just to bash out
Yeah.
um, the the aspects of the film. Well, what's going to be
It
and
was
what's
like
not.
it must have been like an improv session, yes
Well,
and
yeah,
yes and yes
and
and
yeah.
just spitballing ideas and
Well, exactly,
put that one on the
and a
board,
lot a
no,
lot of
that's
that
rubbish.
actually came out with some and more of the ideas for Temple of Doom and Last Crusade. So a lot
Well,
of
yeah,
that,
all of them,
yeah,
yeah, they're all
which
the same
they
basic
kept, they
template in
couldn't,
that
yeah.
sense. Yeah,
But it was just they just bouncing off of each other. So yeah, Spielberg, Lucas, and Lawrence were
Lawrence
just
Kasdan, yeah,
Kasdan were just working together for I think it was about 3 weeks. Production design, sort of Norman Reynolds. Then they started like working together on storyboarding the entire movie.
yeah,
And they pretty much literally storyboarded the entire film, shot for shot.
yeah.
Every single shot was storyboarded.
And the writers were involved. Well, of course they were. Yeah, I suppose.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly. And so it was
you
such
go
a
from the
strong
script and then yeah,
collaboration between everybody working together and made a lot of the miniatures. So a lot of the scenes they created like miniatures. So Spielberg could sort of actually sort of there's a great couple of pictures of him lying on the floor with these models, sort of getting his camera angles and working out where he's going to shoot things like with the
Oh,
plane
do you
scene
mean
and
you don't mean the
um,
ones that they actually use for shooting? You mean just in pre-production,
in
just the
pre-production. Yeah,
storyboard?
so they set out
A
models.
bit like in Back to the Future, where he makes a
Yeah,
model of the town and the.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know how to build it to scale or to
Yeah,
paint
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Great, Doc. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all that. Yeah, it's great,
But they
Steve.
did that as an idea of like working out how they're going to shoot things, lighting and everything.
Yeah,
So
that's how
there's
you
a
do
lot
it,
of
isn't it? So you can
pre-production
visualize it.
work went into this before shooting. So when
Yeah,
shooting started, it was just bang, 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 bang.
yeah.
I mean,
So
there
you can
was
do it in the
something
85
said,
days.
yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah,
They needed
or
to
whatever
get
it
it
was.
done,
Yeah.
and actually shot it within 73 days. It was the first time that Spielberg had used a second unit, a second director. So Michael Moore,
Really?
yeah, first time he'd
Oh
actually used
well,
a
when I
second
suppose when he
unit.
did Jaws, he was out on the ocean waves with
Yeah,
everyone else,
he
wasn't he? So
was
he could
well,
direct a
exactly. He
second
was
unit
doing it
himself.
all.
Well, it's all first
Um,
unit really at that point.
yeah, but this was the first time he used the second unit to
Okay.
do a lot of work, and the big scene was that truck, the truck
Truck
one was
chase, yeah.
yeah. So
I mean, it
Michael
makes sense
Moore,
because the film was shot
but
on like three continents, wasn't it?
yeah,
So
well, exactly.
whatever many it was, yeah.
So yeah, um,
So,
hmm,
but I mean, in terms, I mean, the other element of the script, of course, is dialogue, and actually, dialogue
hmm,
is kind of kept to a minimum because
hmm,
of all this visual storytelling and figuring it out with in this
hmm.
intimate detail like we've been talking about. There's not actually it's not a very dialogue heavy film.
No,
There are plenty of memorable lines,
oh,
some of
definitely.
which like some of them wink, some of which sort of
So,
wink at how ridiculous it all is. Like
exactly.
I don't know, I'm making this up as I go,
Go
all that
on.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
In the spirit of it being a plot driven rather than story driven movie,
very much so.
let's
Yeah,
we're now just gonna follow the film
let's
from
do it.
key
Yeah, let's
moment to
go
key
through it.
moment, from scene to scene,
Yeah.
looking at trying to find some examples of what we've been talking about as we go.
Hmm. Yeah.
So let's start with the opening title sequence in the South American
Mm.
jungle, which ends with the
Yeah.
the famous shot of the or say famous scene of the boulder rolling down behind him and all
Yeah.
that, which is one of the
So
big. I
it
mean, that's like the
starts with a
shower scene in
Paramount
Psycho,
scene.
isn't it?
So,
It's one of those
you know,
things.
it's
Well, it starts with the
Paramount
Paramount,
Pictures.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Paramount
all
Mountain.
mountains and rocks
Yeah.
and yeah,
Spielberg thought it was a good idea. So, hey, why don't we start the shot with the mountain matching the Paramount mountain? So,
yep.
yeah, they went scanning out to find a mountain that matched it. And yeah, I can't remember where those. I think it might have been Hawaii or somewhere like
Yeah, I
that.
think it
But
was.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but again, even that scene going back to Douglas Slocum,
Slocum. Yeah,
a brilliant use of shadows all the way through the
yeah.
South American jungle, and
Well, you can
yeah,
use all those leaves and trees to kind of just
it's
you
just
can use shadows any way
beautiful.
you want,
But
and
again,
like the first that first shot, the first time you see Indy, the first
mm,
because you see him sort of in silhouette or from behind or from the you
yep.
don't really or from a
I
distance, don't see
love
him
that. You
properly.
don't see Indy straight away. It's like, who's this mysterious figure?
Yeah, the guy
You
with
know,
the hat
the
and the
hat.
whip and the leather jacket, and
Exactly.
you sort of see glimpses of him, but you don't see the whole picture
Well,
until
exactly. That
that great introduction where he
beautiful
turns
bit
around
with
and
the poison arrow, where he finds that poison arrow and he just like feels it and he just drops it, and the
yeah,
two guys run over,
and then Fred Molina
taste it,
runs
and
up and
then like,
goes,
oh,
"Poison's
two
dead for
days.
3 days."
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, um,
Phenomenal.
and but the way to what it's a great character introduction because
Mm.
it's one of his supposed allies trying to kill him, and then
Mm.
he hears it cut again, great cutting cut
Well,
here
again, the
whip.
shooting as well. I mean, just before that, I mean, the brilliant use of shooting and framing was, Spielberg wanting to get as much into the scenes and the shots as possible. So you get a brilliant use because Sokum's using great depth of depth of field. You
Mm,
could get stuff in the foreground and
all in
the
focus.
all in focus. So you've got a brilliant shot where Indy's like got two pieces of the map and he's sort of marrying the bits of the map
Yeah,
up.
put them together. Yeah.
This is before you even see Indy's face. So he's marrying these bits, and then you've got one of the guides in the background, sort of like eyeing up, going, "Oh, what's the mysteriousness of it all?"
And he walks in, but he turns around and he walks towards the camera, Indy. And this is his
Yeah,
introduction. This is his hero
mm.
shot.
Hero
But
shot
first of all, the music.
introduction.
But first of all, the music again. Music is still kind of minor key and mysterious. Even though it's kind of
Mm.
da 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 da. But
Yeah.
it's not. Hey, he's great. It's more like,
Hmm.
oh, who's this? There's
It's
still
it
a
was a
mystery about him.
yeah really
And he's in
mystery. I
the
love
half
that.
light. He's never
Mm.
like he steps into the light, but it's kind of a half light as well. And he kind of steps back into the
And again,
shadow a little bit. And it's
to watch that opening scene in black and white, it's
oh, I can
incredible.
imagine.
It is really
Do you
really
know,
lovely.
I think you
Yeah.
convinced me. I might have to give
Yeah.
it a go. One of the first notes I made when watching the film the
Mm.
other day was again what we've been talking about all along, efficient visual storytelling. It's a really
Hmm.
good example of that when they swing over the pit on their way into the thing
Yeah.
and on the way into the chamber. They
Well,
swing over
even
this
just
deep
before
pit.
that, you remember where they're coming through and go, stay out the light, and he sort of arcs around the
Oh
light
yeah,
and then
yeah,
puts his hand up, and then the
yeah.
spikes come through. Just,
That's telling character. That's
mm,
developing or explaining character, isn't it? It was showing
yeah,
us that this guy
exactly. He's an
knows his
expert. He
onions. He's an
really knows
expert.
his stuff. Yeah,
How does he? He looks like a rough. He looks like a just
yeah,
an adventurer. So
right,
you're thinking, well, why is he? How does he
exactly.
know all this stuff? Why is he such an expert? And
Mm.
then later on, we find
And
out.
he's talking about not Balak, one of his competitors. I'm trying to remember the name of
Oh,
yeah,
Forrestal. Yeah,
Forrestal. Yeah.
Forrestal.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
For years,
Mm,
because there's that shot of him because it's the skeleton on the spikes and it's got shoots
exactly.
out and he's
Yeah.
like and he looks at him and he goes and he just says his name like Forrestal, who we've already established. For
Hmm.
years, I thought he was saying poor soul
Mm. Hmm. Oh dear.
because I'm an idiot.
No.
But yeah, but the shot where they're swinging over the shot where they're swinging over the pit though, like again,
Yes. Oh.
efficiency, but efficiency because Spielberg puts the camera in the
Mm.
bottom of the pit looking up and sees them
Yes.
swinging over like that,
Oh,
rather
exactly.
than like say
Mm.
keeping it like POV or over
And
the
that way you
shoulder
can see the
as they
width.
peer over and look to see how deep it
Exactly. You
is,
can properly
which
see
is
the
an obvious
width
way
of the
to do it.
gap through that particular
Yeah.
shot as well. And obviously the bit coming back where he's like, throw me the island, I'll throw you the whip. Throw me the island, I'll throw you the
Oh
whip.
yeah,
And then
and
yeah,
then you've already
he
established.
drops the
Yeah,
whips.
it's
Yeah.
establishing geography, the geography of any given scene. Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Who played the guy who was with Indy at the beginning part of that film? The guy that said, throw me the idol, throw me. It was in
Oh, Alfred Molina.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
terrible at names, so I've got the name, but I can't pronounce it.
Great British actor who plays a lot of
Yeah,
ethnic
mixed
characters because he's
characters.
half
Well,
Spanish, I think, and
that
yeah,
was
he
his
sort of
first
looks.
film role, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
well,
Yeah,
he was quite he was
yeah,
young
his
then, wasn't
first
he?
film
Quite
role.
he's all right.
And the scene with the
And he makes the
tarantulas.
most of it, doesn't he? Like,
Mm,
it's not a big part. He's only in the first
yeah,
5 minutes and he comes to a sticky end.
yeah. Sorry, but
We've
yeah,
all
that
seen the
that
bloody
that
film, don't
lovely
we?
scene with the tarantulas is just
Oh yeah,
hilarious because obviously,
he
you know,
wasn't
there's
acting in
the
that scene,
tension.
was he? He's got a
He
load of
was not
tarantulas all
acting at
crawling
all,
over
and
his
of course,
shoulders, and he's just
that
like,
they bring this guy in, and he's got like this suitcase full of tarantulas, and the
oh, the
suitcase is like got all
tarantula
divided bits in
wrangler,
the
yeah.
tarantula, and like he's like getting them out, and he's like, "Yes, don't worry, they're not going to
It's
bite
all
you.
right,
They've
Fred.
already
Don't worry
been
about it,
fed.
mate.
They're
You'll be all right.
absolutely fine."
Yeah.
And so he's putting these
I'll put one on your
tarantulas on,
head.
and they're not moving at all. They're just all static. And
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
Spielberg's going, they're not moving.
yeah.
This isn't gonna work. They're
They're not
not
moving. They're
moving.
not. They
Yeah,
gotta move. They have to
yeah, they
move.
gotta
Yeah.
move. And he goes, oh, okay, that's okay. As soon as I put a female on, because they're all males,
What?
all
Why?
these
Why
other
was that with
spiders.
Alfred Hitchcock, the tarantula wrangler? I thought
Yeah.
he was dead by then.
Sorry, I'm just trying to do the same impression. This guy was doing. And he
Yeah.
said, like, as soon as he put a female on him,
Oh
all
yeah,
the
they're all going.
males just went fucking crazy and was
Yeah,
just all over the place. And it was just like,
yeah.
and he goes, and as soon as and Spill goes, shoot, 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 shoot. And he's like, look afraid. He's like, I don't need to.
Yeah, okay. I can look afraid.
But
Stick a
yeah,
tarantula up your
absolutely.
nose.
Just
We'll see how
yeah,
afraid you look.
because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
absolutely love that. I mean, I still remember that the first time seeing that as a kid and just
yeah.
going, the
But again,
shock and awe of it. Yeah.
it's not just it is like to make the audience go "Ugh," but it's
Yeah.
not just to make the audience go "Ugh," it's also establishing character because Indy, how does he
Indy's
react when he
just
finds
he
a
just
tarantula? He's just like
just brushes them
bloody
off. Yeah, it's not
tarantulas."
a problem.
He ain't afraid of nothing.
Yeah. Ex-
After they go to all these traps to get to the
Yeah.
idol, he weighs the thing and
Gets
you
the
know
thing. I mean, just
gauges
classic.
it
It's
and puts the
beautiful.
sand on,
Yeah.
gets it wrong
Wrong.
because Indy's
Yeah.
fallible.
Hmm.
And then like he sort of runs back out of the thing, and they have to swing back over the thing, and then he's
Mm.
like, and what's his name? Alfred Molina's character, what's his name? Satipo or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He sort of he double crosses him, and
Hmm.
he's throwing the head, or I throw you the whip.
Yeah.
Adios, senor. Drops the
Sure.
whip and sods off out under the
Yeah.
closing, the very very slowly
The only
closing
closing
door.
your
But
yeah.
but when you see it, it's moving, it's closing fast. When you cut away, it's gone back up to here. And then
Yeah.
it's closing. You cut away, it's come back down to here. Cut away, it's back. Oh, it's back
Yeah.
here. Then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
cut away. Oh, it's back here. Then it's here.
Don't
Then it's here.
spoil
Then
it.
it's come down.
So
Yeah. Oh, look. All right, look. I could just have this up the whole
yeah.
time, and we could just talk about the
Just put
movie.
it in the
I
background.
Yeah, just put it in the background. Spoiler alert. We're talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're going to spoil the shit out of it.
And that extra bit of suspense when he grabs hold of the vine
Oh
and
yeah,
then it
he thinks he's
goes
got it, and he's
and
all
he
like,
loses it even more. And it's just brilliant. That's just amazing storytelling. That is
it's
just
fantastic.
it
It's
is
everything.
beautiful.
Again, editing,
Yeah.
acting.
Wide shots,
We'll
narrow
talk. We'll talk
shots,
about.
just
We'll talk
yeah.
about Harrison Ford and everyone's. We'll talk about the characters
Hmm.
later on. But
There's zero CGI in this movie. All of these are real stunts.
yeah,
And you know, Harrison Ford did a
there's
lot of the
composite shots
stunts
and stuff, but there's
himself.
no. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
exactly.
not
So
all
that
just like
rolling ball sequence, Harrison
probably
Ford ran
papier-mâché or
about, I
something.
think it was about 12 takes in total,
Bloody
to
hell.
get it all right. So he was doing a lot of that himself. 22-foot diameter, well, fiberglass, yeah, fiberglass ball,
Fiberglass. Well, I suppose it's got to
fiberglass.
have enough weight to roll. Like
Yeah,
papier-mâché or
it
whatever
need
wouldn't work, would it?
exactly. You couldn't have it too light. So if it
Yeah.
went over you, you'd know it. And then of course after that we get introduced to Belach.
Belloc. Belloc. Belloc.
Ah, the
Uh,
French, British French man.
British friend. Well, no, he's French. The character's French, the actor's English. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and and he's the sort of
Mm,
he's the main villain, of course. But I mean, he's again a good introduction. He sort of
yeah.
walks up and like owns the jungle. Like he's got all
Jungle,
these, he's
yeah.
got all the natives sort of like
Well,
on
he
his
can
side
speak
and all this kind of thing, and he speaks their
Bahuvian.
language.
Yeah. Hmm.
If only you spoke Jovitos, all that. But
Hmm.
like again with the dialogue thing, you don't need dialogue because when he
No.
asks when he gets Indy to give him his hand over his gun, he doesn't
Yeah.
say anything. He just holds
No.
it. Talking about something else, and they hand up.
Yeah.
It just holds out his hand, and Spielberg even ekes tension out of that moment as well because
Yeah.
because Indy goes for his gun like that,
Mm,
and then cut
the
to the natives,
doors.
all the
Yeah. The
bowmen, all
draw.
getting their
Yeah.
bow and arrow ready, and he just looks at them and like he gives them a sort of aggressively innocent look, like
Yeah.
just giving him the gun.
Yeah.
It's just that look speaks a dozen words.
So this from this sort of like beginning sort of sequence shot, you actually really start getting an understanding of how good the filming was of this because when you watch it again, you will notice again the depth of field. Everything is in focus. Everything in the foreground, everything in the foreground is all in focus. So you see him
Is that
running
true?
across the grass. Yeah, when you see him
Oh yeah,
running away and he's running like, and he's way ahead of the
yeah.
Indians,
And
and
then
they're
the
all
little
chasing him
bums
in the
come in the
background.
back.
You notice they're all in focus.
Is that all the way through the film? There are shots
Yeah,
where
there
it's a
are
shallow
shots where there
focus though.
isn't, but the
Yeah,
vast
yeah.
majority of it is a huge
The sort of
depth
wider
of field.
shots.
And this is the
Yeah.
key thing is that the reason this film stands the test of time for so long is because it looks so real. Everything's there. Everything is in focus. You get to
Yes.
see it all. It's like
Yes.
when
It mimics eyesight
yeah,
as far as
exactly.
possible.
Because
Yeah, yeah.
you are just sort of like, naturally we will be focusing on whatever you want to look at. And the magic of this film is everything already is in focus. So whatever part you want to focus on in this movie is in focus.
Brilliant filmmaking, but it
Mm.
is all kind of a bit of a lark as well because like at the
Mm.
end of that
Yeah.
scene when he gets in the plane, they get in the plane, they
Oh,
fly away,
exactly.
and he
It's
finds a
fabulous.
snake in his
Steak.
seat, and he's like, and
Yeah.
then we realize he's frightened of snakes. That's the one thing he's frightened
It's
of. And he's
my
like,
pet
I hate snakes,
Reggie.
Jack. I hate
I hate
them.
him.
It's just my pet snake, Reggie.
Reggie.
And he
Have a
goes like,
big backbone. Yeah.
yeah, show a little backbone, will ya? Which is like, what has he been doing for the last 10 minutes?
Yeah,
It's like the
exactly.
whole sequence was a joke, and this is the
Yeah.
punchline. So then Indy flies back to America, probably not in
Okay. Yeah.
that in that biplane, but or
Hmm.
whatever it is. But and then like he gets his again, it's structured like a Bond film. You have the end of
Oh,
the
yeah.
previous adventure as the opening thing,
Hmm.
then he goes back to his base. You know, in
Base,
James
yeah.
Bond's case, it's MI6, and in Indy's case, it's the what's it called, Marshall University or
University,
Marshall
yeah.
College or whatever,
Hmm.
named after Frank Marshall, I think the producer. And then and you know you see him like you see
Hmm.
he's a professor, he's a lecturer, he's giving
Yeah.
a lecture to his students, you know, and the girl
Hmm.
with I love you written on her eyes and all that.
Yeah.
But again, so then we have this big sort of exposition sequence, don't we, where I've got some
Exactly.
chaps that I
Yeah.
want to talk to you.
Sure,
They're
sure.
from what's it called, Army Intelligence, which I think
Agents, yeah.
is it a
What do they
precursor
want to
to the
know? I
CIA?
don't
I'm not
know.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's like
This is
but this is
brilliant. Yeah.
but what's interesting about it is like,
Mm.
you know, a lot of exposition scenes and conversation scenes, you tend to just shoot them shot, reverse shot, or whatever. But again, this
This is
scene's a
so
mixture.
well
It's a
shot.
mixture
It's
of everything. It's
brilliant.
wide
It's
shots,
so well.
two shots,
It's
close
mainly what
ups.
I love about this is it is mainly wide shot where they have all four people in the
Well, it's a
frame.
mixture, isn't it?
It is
There's a lot
it
of
is
that, but
a
there's a lot of
mixture, and it's
everything else as
yeah,
well.
and a
The shot, reverse
brilliant
shot as well,
yeah
and two shots,
shot,
and
reserve shot, and blocking all within the same
yeah,
scene, which is just masterful. It really is wonderful. So at the
or the
beginning, you
camera
see them.
following
Yeah,
someone as they go up,
so at the
drift away,
beginning,
and
you
come
see all
back,
of them
and
coming, and you got the blackboard on the background, and then this table, and then Indy comes in, and then the two
because it's in a
army
big sort of
guys.
lecture hall or something,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like an assembly
exactly.
room or whatever. Yeah,
So
I
the
wonder if
guys
maybe that
coming in,
was.
they sort of immediately sit down. So it's a really good shot to see who's who. So, because obviously we've already been introduced to Brody and we know Indy
Yeah.
already, but like the two other guys, they come in and they
Who are
sort of
these
like
guys?
walking,
What do we
yeah,
need to
who
know about
they
them?
walk
Yeah.
around and sort of like then sit down together. So
Yeah,
you're
like they
establishing
own
a
the
kind
place.
of them and us scenario. And Indy
Mm.
and Brody's brilliant. He's just sort of gently leaning against this podium, and
Very
it's
casual. He's a very
so
casual character,
casual.
isn't
It's
he,
just
Marcus? Yeah.
brilliant. And then Indy stand up, and Indy puts this massive, huge, ancient book on the
Which he
table,
just happens to have on him.
which brilliantly stays in shot all the way through the
Yeah,
scene.
all those wide shots is right there in
It's
the middle. Yeah.
so it's so expert. It's so setting it up. It's just absolutely brilliant.
But you
And
don't
then
think about it. You don't look at the
no,
book and
you
think,
don't.
what does that
Mm.
mean? Is that important? But later on, you realize it
You
was
do.
all along.
You
It's, yeah,
realise how important. And of
very
course,
important. Yeah.
then you get this kind of shot where you get the two army guys together, and where they're talking about,
In the two
Hitler's a
shot. Yeah.
fanatic and he's trying to find these religious artifacts, and Hitler's a nut about the subject and all this, and
Yeah.
then they read out the thing Staff of Ra,
Or Ark of the Covenant or whatever it is.
Arthur,
Yeah. No,
not
no, they don't
Arthur,
say.
don't
They
even
say
say
Staff
Arthur,
of Ra.
Staff
Sorry.
of
Yeah.
Ra, and then
No, they say
Tanis.
Tanis. They say
Tanis,
Tanis.
and then you
Tanis
see
development proceeding.
immediately, yeah,
Indy and
immediately you
Marcus
get the shot, a beautiful shot of Indy looking back at Brody and Brody. Nothing he
and
said,
sharing a
but
look. Yeah.
they know how important this
Yeah.
is just from their look and their interaction with one another.
But it sets up the
Mm,
whole plot, basically. It sets
mm.
up the whole
Oh,
premise,
exactly.
the
Yeah.
whole stakes, the whole
What
goal
is
of the
this
film, right?
movie about? What is the
Yeah.
Ark of the Covenant?
What's the Lost
Yeah.
Ark?
What's the Lost Ark?
Who's
Yeah.
raiding it
Why
and
is this
why?
so
Yeah.
important? You
Yeah.
know.
So, but I feel like because it's a big exposition scene, Spielberg sort of he kind of just wants to get through all this boring but important
Yeah.
stuff, and he doesn't want the audience to get bored either. So,
No.
but because he's I was about to say genius. It's a strong word, and I don't use it lightly. But he is because
Mm,
he's brilliant.
mm,
Genius. We'll come back. We'll think about that.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
because he's brilliant, he, instead of just like a lesser director would rush it just to keep the runtime
Yeah.
down, just cut, cut,
Hmm.
cut, 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 words, words,
Yeah.
words, words, words. Okay, we've got the information out. People might not have got it, but it doesn't matter. Let's get on to the next big thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
He tries to, instead of that, he tries to make it interesting for himself to direct. Hence
Mm,
all the different style, all the different
yeah.
techniques that we've been
Hmm.
talking about all this time. And it also maintains a good sense of pacing because he's got a fantastic sense of pacing
Oh,
and
brilliant.
rhythm and
Yeah.
all this.
Hmm.
And also the scene is also, it's got some light humor in it as well, like like the two intelligence guys kind of talking over each other, and then Marcus and Indy do the same, sort of interrupt
Yeah.
each other, like, well, I think that, oh no, oh, but you, and it's sort of the line about Sunday school
Oh,
and about
exactly.
the
Did you?
the guy saying
Yeah.
secret chamber,
But
really, all that,
yeah.
all these little note, these little sort of humorous
Exactly, but
notes to
then
just
yeah,
kind of
when you're
like,
getting onto the Ark, it's like what the Ark of the Covenant with the Ten Commandments. What
then it
what you
gets
talking about?
serious.
The Ten Commandments? Yeah,
Yeah,
the actual
yeah,
Ten
yeah.
Commandments, the Moses brought down from the mountain, and
I've
then
got a
there's the guy.
picture of it in this
Oh, right,
book.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
again comes back to the book, opens this beautiful old book, huge.
yeah.
And it is good classic, but he just opens it up at the right page. It's- and
And the
and
light, there's a sort of the
mm,
light at the picture itself is again the light and the
yes,
firepower of God
yeah.
or something coming out of the thing. It's
It's like,
almost, isn't
what
it? Isn't
what's
it? Isn't
this?
doesn't the
Yeah.
lighting change in that shot when they're looking at it as well? Like, aren't
No,
they
it
suddenly
doesn't
lit from
actually. It's
below? Or is that
just
my
yellow.
imagination?
It's just yellow
It's yellow.
beams of light coming out, which
But no, but
obviously you don't.
but
That's the only
I'm
thing.
talking about
I'm sorry,
but
guys.
I'm
It's
talking
the
about the
only
shot
thing
of
you.
them looking at it. I'm talking about the shot of
Oh,
them
right.
looking at it.
Okay. Right.
Doesn't the light on their faces go a bit yellow as
Well,
well,
yeah, because
as
that's the
if it's
point where they
lighting them?
stand
Or am I
up. No,
imagining that?
that's the point where the two gentlemen stand up out of their
Yeah, they
chairs
all
to
stand
look
up and
down at the back.
curl around
So
and look
as
at it.
they're
Yeah,
standing up, obviously you're then getting the natural light coming through the windows
yeah,
to
and it sort of
heighten,
diffuses a little
to
bit. Yeah,
diffuse, but it also
yeah,
heightens their contrast and the fact that they're knowing, oh my God, this is so important. So it
yeah.
it's a natural change, but it is a forced change
It's
as well.
deliberate. Yeah, yeah. If you ever think when you're watching a film like, oh, but that was probably an accident,
Mm-mm.
99 times out of 100, no,
Mm.
999 times out of 1,000, it wasn't
Yeah.
an accident. It was all a choice. All
Okay, well,
go
I
on.
mean, the following scene from that is obviously where Brody, Indy's at his house, waiting for Brody to get the info. Is like, well, oh, we got the go ahead. Are we going for this?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I going to go in search for the Ark? So yeah, and what's wonderful about this scene, and most people will know this scene, but it's as one single shot. This is not
It's the
edited. It
entire
is not
scene one
cut.
shot.
It's yeah, it's one shot. It's about a minute and a
Yeah, I
half
think you're
long.
right. Yeah. 2 minutes long
And
or something, probably. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's so well blocked. Now, blocking is
Mm.
basically where the camera is moving
Yeah.
from one actor to another actor.
And
So
also the
instead of it
background and
being
what's in the shot
edited,
and what's
yeah,
in the mise en scène and the shot. You got to make sure your wall doesn't end before the camera moves.
yeah.
Too
So
far to the right or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
most filmmakers, when they've got two people in a shot, you're going to have two cameras set up, one on each
Yeah.
cam, so you can basically
Shot,
cut
reverse
from
shot.
shot to get
Yeah.
expressions of what one
And
character is
reactions and yeah.
reaction to the other character, what they're saying and dialogue and that sort of thing.
But
And
that's
that's
boring.
standardized
Yeah.
filmmaking, but it is can be really boring. But if you watch any soap opera, that's all they do all long.
Yeah. Talking
Um,
heads. Like
that's
our
it.
channel. That's
Yeah,
what our
okay,
channel is.
yes,
It's just
that's what it
it's
is.
literally
Yeah,
two talking heads side by side. We don't even
yeah,
edit. We don't even cut
mm,
between close-ups. I don't know how to
yeah.
do that.
But what you've got here is Indy and Brody both in the same shot,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not cut at all. It is just a
Yeah.
single shot. So you've got a wonderful
And
shot of
there's a lot of
there's a
action,
lot
not
going on. So
action
Indy's
fighting, but action movement. Yeah.
in his
Because
sort of
Indy's
main living
packing
room,
and
and then
yeah,
once he gets the go ahead, he starts getting his suitcase. He starts getting bits and pieces, and they're talking about
moving,
when
walking
they're
back and forth
going,
around the room.
walking back and
Yeah.
forth, and
And
it's
having a
so
conversation as well.
beautifully done. And it's a wonderful bit where, as you
And
mentioned
it gives a
earlier,
sense of urgency, doesn't it, when you don't
it
cut? It's
does.
sort of like it keeps it like, oh, because because if you don't cut, then you got to keep moving. Like you said, the camera's got to keep moving to
Well,
follow
because
the
the
moving character. So
beauty
it's like
the
keeps you
beauty of
alert.
this
What am I
scene,
looking at?
so they get the amazing excitement of, yes, we've got the go ahead, they want you to go and do it, and then the excitement of that, and then Indy grabs his suitcase and starts
Oh,
packing.
Marcus.
Oh, good. We've dreamt about this all our lives, and
Yeah.
finding something of this importance. And then Brody actually starts going on about, the importance of the ark
Well, hang on a minute.
itself.
A note
Yeah,
of
hang on a
caution.
sec.
Yeah.
Note of
Yeah.
caution. You know, the Ark is something of great importance, and
It's like nothing you've ever gone after before.
sure, exactly. So
Yeah.
there's, and that's immediately after what he mentions
And the
about
music, that's the
going to
music I was
see
talking about
Marion.
before as well.
So
Yeah.
it's this, and then obviously you get wonderful, and
Conflicting.
this is where the camera it zooms in on Brody at this point for him to make this
Yeah, to
point
do his little speech.
of
Yeah.
the importance of the arc. And then instead of cutting back to Indy, the camera just as gently zooms back. Indy walks
Lets him
across
drift back
frame,
in. Yeah.
goes over to his desk, and he mentions, "Well, Brody, you know how much of a Corson fellow I am," and grabs his gun
Throws the
and
gun in the, oh,
throws it
sorry,
into the suitcase,
throws the gun into the
which is
suitcase or knocks his computer
amazing,
around.
and which is then ends on the gun landing in the suitcase. End of
Yeah.
scene.